My name's Justin, and this is my car, Scrappy, and this is how I street.
All right, man, so tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, where you grew up and where you're from.
Okay, so I was born in '92, from Corpus Christi, Texas, down south, about 3 hours away from here, from Austin, where I live now. I was always into lowrider cars, lowrider bikes. My uncle that passed away, he was into lowriders. I was chill with him, went out to little meets, drive around, pretty much nothing crazy. And then I started getting into more building lowrider bikes and all that. And then as soon as I got out of that, my brother, he was going out there racing. You know, he had a PT Cruiser, he had a couple Hondas. So I was always out there with them racing. And I was like, man, this is cool. And then
It's not that cool.
it wasn't that cool after I found out what V8s could do. I mean, there was a V8 Mustang that came and pretty much fucked everybody up. So I was like, after that, I'm like, man, I'm done with these H22s, these Hondas. Like, I'm done. Like, it's all V8 from now. And that's how much it pretty started, man. It's just hanging out with my uncle and my brother, and then started doing my own thing, stuff like that.
How old were you at the time?
So when I was hanging out with my uncle, I was probably, I would say between 5 and, I'll say 11. I was always with him all the time. He was like my second father, pretty much. Always with him. And then I started going out with my brother when he was going out when I was maybe 13, 14. And then around 16, I got my first Camaro. It was a V6 Camaro. I thought it was the baddest shit ever, man. T-top, I cut the exhaust off, you know, everybody thought it was a cam, or I kept on telling everybody it was a cam, and everybody believed it, so I just stuck with it. So I was playing with that for a little while, and then before I got that, I was taking my parents' car out, sneaking it out late at night, joyriding it, doing donuts, doing burnouts, racing it.
What was that?
I was about maybe, 12?
What car was that?
It was a V6 Mustang. It was like a 05. Yeah. There was one time because my dad worked in the oil field, so I called him like, hey, Dad, what are you doing? It was like 1 in the morning. He was like, oh, no, I'm driving back from, I forgot where it was. I was like, how long did you get home? He's like, oh, maybe 3 or 4 hours. I was like, oh, okay, well, he's like, why? What are you doing? I'm like, no, I'm bored. I'm just waiting for you to come home. So as soon as I get off the phone, I'll take my mom's car out, haul ass, play around, come back home, call him again. Hey, Dad, where you at? He's like, man, why do you keep on calling me? I'm like, just curious where you're at. So I'll take the car out again. And then the second time I came back home, I pulled up to the apartments that we lived at. And my mom's just standing outside with her arms crossed. She's like, that's your ass. Like, just go inside. And like, your dad will deal with you later on. So I can't remember what my dad told me. He probably told me like, don't do it again. But I didn't get no spanking or anything like that. So I kept on doing it. There's a couple times I did that. It was crazy. I got my first ticket in her car. I was going like 68 in a 25. So I didn't have a license at the time either. This was at 2 in the morning. Cops like, what are you doing? I'm like, I got my permit. They're like, where's your permit? I was like, I left it at the house. They're like, how old are you? I'm like, 16. They're like, nothing added up. So he called my parents and all that, and they couldn't pick me up. But it was crazy. So I was the wild one in the family with the cars and all that, racing. So, but like I said, my brother, I was going out with him a whole bunch of times and hanging out with all the racers, the scene, and how everything happened. And soon after that, like I said, I got into the muscle scene. Had the V6 Mustang, Camaro for a little while. And I started getting into bikes. So I started racing bikes right after high school. And then I got back into cars. I had another Trans Am. It was a 6.0 with a 200 shop, made like 680. Like,
your first like street car?
No, my first street, well, I skipped one car. So after the V6 Camaro, There was this guy that had a Z28, a 95 or 94, I can't remember, T-top with a 388 stroker with a nitrous kit. That was like pretty much my first race car. I'm like, oh, this shit's badass. Yeah, straight into the nitrous kit. They're like, hey, don't, learn the car first, make sure everything's good. And I was like, all right, man. The first time I took it out, dude, I just sprayed the bottle, like emptied the bottle out. So I'm like, man, it feels slower now. Like I keep on hitting the nitrous. They're like, how many times did you use it? I was like, I already used it like 10 times. They're like, bro, like that's a 200 shot. Like, you're already out. I'm like, am I? They're like, we opened the line. They're like, yeah, you're out. I'm like, oh, that's how it works. So I, filled it back up, and I actually blew that car up. I saw this guy on the highway, and me and my dumbass, we were going like 80 already. So I dropped it in first gear going 80. Yeah, it was gone after that.
Money shifted.
Yeah, money shifted. I was like, oh, popped the timing chain and pretty much destroyed everything. How to get that towed home? They're like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. It just popped.
So then after that, you got the car.
So I started fixed that car up, and then I sold it. And then I was working in the oil field, and I had bikes. And then I got hurt. I was in a wheelchair for like 2 years. And then those 2 years, I was getting money every day or every week from workers' comp. So with that money I saved up, and I told my wife, like, I want another car. She's like, well, save the money and then you go buy something. So I bought me a 2002 Trans Am, had a 6.0, and that thing was clean, real nice. It looked like Chris's back there. It was red, gray interior, real clean car. Put nitrous on it, put a 250 shot on it, with a standalone. And this time I had a 15-pound bottle. And then Rick from Limited Performance, shout out to Rick and Limited, he's like, don't finish the whole bottle in one night. Like, we know how you are, just take it easy. I'm like, all right, man, don't worry about it. I'll be fine, I'm just gonna take it for a ride. Later on that night, he calls me, he's like, where you at? I'm like, oh, I'm over here downtown. They're like, who'd you race? I'm like, well, what do you mean, who did I race? He's like, it's already on the internet. I'm like, what do you mean? It was Facebook at the time. Yeah. So he's like, you're racing some bikes? I'm like, maybe? They're like, well, I already saw the video. He's like, did you beat him? I'm like, yeah, I beat him. So it was some 600s. We're just out there having fun. But that little 6.0, man, I beat the crap out of it. It was, yeah, that 6.0 was ruthless. Yeah, it was on the 200 shot also. So it was a nitrous outlet kit with a standalone. So I was running like C16 in it and stuff like that. Oh, shit. Yeah, so it was a legit car. It had some suspension, stock were in. I thought I was badass. Like, I'll go out there and test. Tell my wife, like, hey, put some water down and do a burnout, back me up. So, but it was like a 650 car. Like, it wasn't nothing crazy. But to me, it was, man. So I went through 3 4L60s. Yeah, I kept on murdering them. Like, they're done. So I bought one from RPM. It was like their level 5. So I spent like 10 grand on that motherfucker. I had it for like 2 weeks. Oh, watch it. It was done. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I can't get a break. And at the time, he's like, well, you keep on going to the 60s. Like, you want an 80? I'm like, nah, I want to get more into racing. Like, put a turbo 400 in it. I was like, all right. So right before I put a turbo 400, my wife got pregnant and all that. So I ended up selling that car before I even put the 400 in it. So I never see what it did with the trans brake, with the 400 and all that. But the time went by. We moved here to Austin back in 2015, 2014. That's when we moved to Austin, and I told her, like, I want to build me a car, or I want to buy me a car. She's like, what are you going to do with it? I'm like, street and track and all that. Or like, build you something. I was like, all right. So I bought this car off a buddy, Bo, and it was just, it had the 6-point cage in it, rear end, and that was it. Like, it wasn't complete. So I bought that. And then we lived at my father's house front, and I had the car in the back of his shop for 3 years. So 3 years I was working on it, putting more money to it, So you got it as a roller? Yeah, it was a roller. It was a bare roller. It was nothing to it. He had a motor in it before. They used to do like some X275 racing with it, or radio racing with it. So I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm pretty much slick. So we took all the stock suspension out of this car. We put ladder bars. So they're like, why are you putting ladder bars? I was like, they work on the street. Everybody uses ladder bars. So cut all the stock suspension out, put ladder bars. And I told my chassis guy, Jason Flores, I was like, I want this thing to be the best of the best when it's done. Like, I don't want no, let's half-ass this, half-ass that. Let's just go balls to the wall. So it took me a little while, but we finally got it done. And you know, first time we took this car out, we went to LS Fest, Texas, and we won that race. So after 5 years building the whole car, it felt good. Like finally take it somewhere, raced it, and it won an event. First time out with it. So it was pumped. Like the pot wasn't that bad. It was like $2,500, but it just made everything worth it.
A win?
Yeah, it was still a win, man. Like all those late nights when it was raining. Yeah, I had a canopy out here, and I used to work on the car when it was, you know, raining and stuff like that.
Before you had this?
No, before I had this, because we lived in the house in front. So behind his shop or his garage, I had this on some, you know, concrete slab. My bad.
No, you get it.
So I worked on it, you know, day and night outside, and everybody was like, "You ever gonna get your car done?" I'm like, "Yeah, one day." So just little by little, just keep on adding stuff, buying stuff, adding stuff, buying stuff, and then took it to the chassis shop and said, "Let's put ladder bars on it."
So what was the first setup that you put it together with?
Like motor wise?
Yeah.
So motor wise, it was a stock 6.0. It was an iron block. It had the 4th gen rods and pistons in it. I beat the crap out of that thing. They saw like 38 pounds at one time. I was racing it until I pulled it out because I work at Texas Speed and Performance, so we built a rear sleeve 5.3 for it. We put that thing in there. So when I took the 6.0 out, there was like 3 bent rods in it. Like I didn't even know. And literally I just got done racing in Corpus on the cash days with it. And it was running fine. Oil pressure was good. And I took it out that following weekend and put the rear sleeve 5.3, and there was bent rods. I'm like, shit. Like that could have been real bad.
Yeah, you pulled it out at perfect time.
Yeah, perfect timing.
So it wasn't a nitrous car?
No, it was never a nitrous car. Yeah.
All your other cars?
All the other cars were nitrous, so at that time when I was building the car, everybody was going turbo, so I was like, well, you know, why wait to go straight to the punch? So that's what we did. We went with a VS Racing. It was a 92 at the time, and now it has a 102, 118. So that little thing spools, man. A lot of people talk down on VS, and they're not good. They're Chinese turbos, but the car's been fast, and it's proven. So I don't have no issues with them.
So you took it to LS Fest. That was your first event.
Yes.
You won.
Yes.
And then did you start street racing it right away too, or?
So after LS Fest, I started racing it on the street. That's when I went to the cash days. I did a couple little testing tunes. It wasn't nothing crazy. And then I took out the motor and then put that rear sleeve 5.3, and it was game on after that. That little 5.3 was bad. Like it's to this day, if I didn't blow up the intake, I don't know if y'all saw it on Instagram. I had one of my solenoids get stuck on my wastegate, so it saw like 85 pounds of boost right on the hit. So when it took off, it saw 85 pounds, cut the ignition for the traction control, popped the intake. So it popped the intake, it broke the throttle body, it bent the valves in the heads. What else did it do? We were thinking it bent the rods, but it didn't bend the rods. So, but it did crack the block, the rear sleeve 5.3. Yeah. So it was still running, but it didn't like that.
Yeah.
So Texas Speed hooked me up, and we just put a new 427 LSX in it.
That was pretty recent, right?
Yeah, that was, I would say I'd say like a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that
so
5.3
brand
rear
new.
sleeve, I had it in the car for like a year,
Yeah.
and I beat the crap out of it.
That's the one you raced with last year, right? At
Yeah,
this
the
race?
New Year's. Yeah.
Yeah.
That had the 5.3 in it.
Yeah, and you made it.
I made it to the finals,
Yeah.
man. But Steve, man, gotta give it to him. He's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's good. So it was a good race.
So what would you say is your favorite street race?
My favorite one. Damn. I would say New Year's. No, I'll take that back. The one in Corpus. When I went to the finals with Pasadena, they had the Gremlin truck, that 4x4. No, semifinals, my bad. That was my favorite race.
Close one.
It was a good one. Like everybody was scared of that truck. I'm like, well, if I lose, I lose. It is what it is, right? But I gave him a good race. Like it was a Silverado 4x4.
Oh, okay.
They call it Gremlin. So that was a good race. Like I can't complain. Like I'd rather lose for having a good race than blowing the tires off or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. So,
All
but
that truck stuff's popular down
dude, right now the truck stuff is getting out of control, man.
Yeah, it's wild.
Like I raced Baby King Ranch from Velocity. I think that's where they're from, the shop in Houston. We raced at 2K, and man, that was a good fucking race. I'll tell you that. I think that was the best race I ever had in the whole, time I've been racing was long velocity. He guessed the light. He said he didn't guess the light, but he fucking guessed the light. There was a tire crack, midnight, tire cracked. But it is what it is. Like, it was a good race. I lost, but after that, they kept on racing, and I think the round after that, that's when the cops showed up, and then a couple guys went to jail and all that. So I was like, all right, cool. Kind of glad I got out. Yeah. Because it could have been me. So I actually put this car is under my wife's name, so just in case I ever get in trouble, we'll be like, nah, it's her car. It's not my car. Well, if we ever get divorced, she'll take the car too. So yeah, it's one of those situations. So, but she's smart enough not to do that.
What's your favorite spot to street race?
Man, I would say the pad. I haven't been there with my car, but I've been there with my buddy Jason's car, Mustang. It's wild over there in the pad. Like, there's people cooking, there's people, of course, betting all the time, there's fights. Like, the pad is the most craziest fucking race you could go to. Yeah. Especially on New Year's when they have their New Year's race also. Besides that one, I would say it was JFK in Houston. JFK had a good road. Houston has a lot of good roads. It's all concrete over there. Yeah. So everybody's fast over there. Let me see what else. Cummins, I think that's what it's called. We used to go to Cummins all the time with Matt's car. He had a small block, or he had an LS in the blue Mustang. Went to Cummins a lot in Houston. That was good.
Those are all spots in Houston?
Yeah, that was a good race. We won a lot of money with that car when we first came out with it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that car was running good.
So what area of Texas you think has the fastest cars?
It used to be Dallas. But I think Austin took over.
Yeah.
That's a fact. So all y'all, Dallas guys, I know I got respect for y'all, but I think right now, I think Austin has the fastest cars. Personally, as a small tire, yeah. I'm not saying there's nobody fast in Dallas, because a lot of people are fast, but I haven't seen a lot of Dallas people do anything lately. So I don't know if it got too hot over there or what, but I think Austin has the fastest cars right now.
And you guys are always, you guys have your list racing and all that. Mm-hmm. You race on the list?
I got on the list a couple of times. I really don't care about the list. I'll get on the list and I'll run up at like maybe 7 spots and I'll be all right, I'm done. I'll get off the list and people are like, what the fuck? Like, they're going every month to get on the list, and they can't get on the list. And when I get there, I'll get on the list, and then I'll just get off. So it's kind of fucked up, but I really don't care about the list. It's cool and all that, but nah, I'd rather not be on the list. So much drama.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's a lot of drama, especially in the top 3 spots. Uncle Jeff, Ashton, there's a lot of drama over there. So I just stay off the list. I just go out there, have fun. I'll just use it for testing tune, pretty much. That was it. So,
do you have somebody that you would consider your kryptonite?
Oh, everybody knows that. It'd be cracking. It'd be Steve, man. I can't get around that guy. I don't know why. It's just can't. It's been a whole bunch of good races between me and him. Every time we race, it's always been right there, bumper to bumper. The only time I say he gapped me was when last year at New Year's race, whenever I got loose and had to let out. I think that's the only time he ever actually gapped me. But
pretty sketchy road too.
It is. A lot of people don't like that road. I love that road. I was out there a couple days ago testing that. So they're like, man, it's a ditch. I'm like, well, just make sure you don't go in the ditch. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, stay out of it. But I like that road too. Degger's a good road. But yeah, kryptonite, it would be Steve for sure. I just can't get around him. Like, it's always been good neck to neck, but I just can't get around that guy.
Test together and stuff too, right?
No, we don't test together. Actually, me and him, we talk, but not like, hey, let's go test, or like, hey, what are you working on? Where am I working on? Like, nothing like that. But we just, whenever we see each other, we'll hang out. Yeah. We go out of town, then yeah, I guess we could say we're all teammates. So the whole ATX guys, but and that means they don't talk that much. Yeah. So I would say yes, but in the finals. Yeah, it'll be a good finals if me and him go back at it again. So at that time when I raced him last year, I was on the Holly system with no traction control, nothing like that. So now, because of Steve, thanks to Steve, the car's on FuelTech now. So I'm still learning the basics on it. FuelTech and Holly are totally different systems. Like, you gotta be really smart for FuelTech, to me. So in the Holly stuff, it's all basic. You know, you can find everything pretty easily. FuelTech, you gotta know what you're messing with to mess with stuff.
You
so
like FuelTech more?
I would say Yes, I do like FuelTech a lot more because it has a lot more features on what you can mess with and stuff. Traction control, they have like pitch angles for like wheel control and all that. Like, I didn't even know they had all that stuff. So, whenever I lost my door at LSFS East, Manny from FuelTech is like, well, you know, we could put a pitch angle in your car. I'm like, what does that mean? You're like, well, you know how you pop in the wheelie, pretty much. Like, yeah. He's like, I could cut that off. I'm like, I don't have a wheelie control. He's like, there's one built into the FuelTech. I'm like, oh, no shit. So he went in there, did some numbers, and pretty much put a pitch angle. So as soon as the G-force and the pitch angle sees a certain height or meter, it will shut off cut like timing out.
So what made you make the switch? I'm just curious. Yeah.
Steve kept on whacking my ass. No, I wanted traction control, and I didn't want to rewire the whole car to put traction control or buy the $500 traction control from Holley. I know it sounds stupid because $500 versus $3,500, but when I sold all my Holley stuff, I pretty much came on top on switching to FuelTech. So that was pretty much, I was going to switch to traction control and have all that hooked up. So instead of spending the time and effort trying to rewire everything, because I suck in wiring, I just said I'll just buy everything from FuelTech and plug it all in. And pretty much I'm still learning the traction control, and I'm a retard on all that. So.
And you tune the car yourself?
Yeah. So when I had the Holley system, Rick from Limited Performance tuned the car remotely. And then when I was switched to FuelTech, I went to FuelTech to get the tune. And then when I put this new motor in it, I just took it to Biddle because he was around the corner from Texas Speed. So we put on his dyno. So he's the main tuner right now. I just do power management and all that.
Yeah, when you're out racing.
Yeah. Yeah, I just need somebody to make sure the tune's right, the fuel tables, and after that I'll take over and do everything else. So. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I thought I was gonna, this motor's, it ain't no joke. This thing it made more power on less boost. Of course, on the 5.3, it was just a regular 5.3, 427 still, but with this motor, it made, I don't want to say how much it made a lot. It made over 15, but on less boost. So this motor is stout. Yeah, this thing is stout. I think the most so far, I've been like on 20 pounds.
What turbo was on it?
The VS still, the VS 102.
Oh, okay. It's the same one you've always had?
Yeah, the same one I always had. So I had the 92 when I first started racing with the car, and then now it has the 102. So I probably put the 102 maybe in the middle of last year. So it's always been on there.
And there's a 400 on the car?
No, it's a Glide.
Oh, it's a Glide?
Yeah, it's a Glide. So it's ladder bar, Glide, and LS, methanol. So roughly this motor made 1,500. A little bit north than that, but it works good. I like it. It's my baby.
I'm excited to see it tonight.
Me too. I know we're going to this new road, so kind of nervous about it. I don't like new roads, but I think it'll be all right. So I need a duck first round to get a good tune-up, and after that, it's game on. So unless I get to buy, hope so.
Yeah.
So
what's going through your mind as you pull up to the starting line?
dude, every time I race, people might say this, and they're not, but every time I race, I'm nervous. Every time. I don't care who I'm racing. Like, I could be racing a duck. Like, I'm just nervous. I don't know why. It's just, if you're not nervous, then I guess you're not really racing. And if you're not nervous, then I guess you got a lot of confidence in your car. And I do, don't get me wrong, because anything can happen. I just get nervous. Actually, I get the shakes whenever I'm about to run.
Yeah,
So.
well, it's street racing.
Yeah, it's street racing. Anything can happen, man. You know, cops come, huh?
Do you get it worse with your kryptonite?
Yeah, I do. I'm like, he doesn't get in my head like that. It's just like, damn, like, I got to make sure everything's on point. Don't be dumb, Justin. Don't put too much in it. I got to talk myself out of it, because first thing I want to do when I race somebody fast is like, just throw everything at it. But after sitting there thinking about it, like, nah, let's not do that. Like, it went fast the pass before. Let's just, you know, add a little bit more timing, or, you know, add a little bit more in the scramble. Something simple. Let's not make too many changes, because after I make a lot of changes to the car, that's when I fuck up. So a lot of times I got to tell myself, like, you know, back up. Yeah. So just back up, race your race, and then you'll be all right.
Yeah, once you start changing too many things, you don't even know what it was that
Yeah.
worked or not.
Yeah, when I put this motor in and we started testing last week, I tested maybe 6 days in the past 2 weeks. Like, just trying to figure out the combo on what it likes, what it doesn't like. The shock settings, I had the shocks way too loose, so it'll top out the shock. Messing with time and retard on what this new motor likes. It is a heavier motor in the front, so it doesn't transfer weight like it should be, or like it was with the 5.3 because it was aluminum. So trying to learn all that, it was a struggle, but I think we figured it out. Like, we went fast, not as fast as I was before, but you know, a couple more test sessions, I think I'll be back.
Do you typically test that often?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I test a lot. I know people are like, man, like, you're just hurting your motor, you're going through tires and all that, but you know, the only way to be successful, you got to test. Like, you know, you could go, you know, to one race and not test, and yeah, you could probably be lucky and go rounds, but you know, if you went to that one race and that first round, if you tested the night before, you should figure out something out that you had like a CO2 leak or something. Like, you would have figured out if you went testing the day before. So I like testing every time I go out. So honestly, probably when before we go to New Year's race, I'm probably gonna go hit a spot up and do a little. Right. Yeah, that's what I did last year, man. Last year. So in like 20 minutes. Yeah. So last year it was crazy because Justin Hickman, who I get my tires from, he was coming with Bitter Bomb. So they got here kind of late. So I met him. I got my tires, hauled ass home, put them on real quick. And then we had like 30 minutes until we had like driver's meeting. So put the tires on real quick, went to a spot down the street, made one shakedown. I'm like, all right, everything's good. Everything looks good. Put that tune back in it, and then we'll go. And then we went straight to the race after that. Like, I do a lot of things last minute also. This time with this race, I'm trying to be prepared because now it's with the Fuel Tech and it's a bigger motor in front, heavier. So I'm trying to get all that figured out.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of things that are different.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a handle on it, so I think we'll be good. So
I want to go back to the name real quick. How did you come up with Scrappy?
So there's a lot of people think it's Scooby-Doo's nephew or son or whoever he was, Scrappy the little dog. No, it's not that. It's an old cartoon back in, I don't know, maybe 60s. A little short guy, always had his hat backwards. Like, if you talk mess to him, like, he's gonna jump on you pretty much. So that's how pretty much the name Scrappy. Like, I'm short, I always have my hat backwards. Like, yeah, I'm not a guy that likes to talk shit. Like, we're gonna do something, But that's pretty much how the name came up, Scrappy. So it's an old cartoon back like in the 60s that I had to look him up and show y'all.
Oh yeah, he's right there.
Y'all found it?
We'll put it on the video.
Yeah, little Scrappy. There was one video I saw one time. I don't know how I saw it, but some guy was messing with him and picked on him and got his hat and threw it, and that cartoon guy Scrappy just got his hat, put it back on, and then went to go punch the guy. I was like, man, I like that name, Scrappy. So pretty much after that, it stuck. There was another name that I was looking at before, Poseidon. And my friend's like, what the hell are you thinking of? Poseidon. I'm like, I don't know. It just sounds cool, like Poseidon, like the water god or whatever. He's like, no, that sounds retarded, bro. So not put that. I was like, all right, I'm not going to use Poseidon. It does sound stupid. So, but Scrappy fit the car a lot better, so. And plus, I couldn't spell Poseidon, like right off the back of my head. So I was like, Scrappy's a lot better. So, yeah, how do you spell it? Hold up, let me get my phone out.
Is that a custom color or is that?
No, so actually, when I painted this car, my buddy Felix down in Corpus, he's like, hey, what you can do about painting your car? I was like, I'm just going to wrap it because I don't have money to paint it. He's like, bring it down here, man. You know, give me this much and I'll paint the car for you. I'm like, all right. He's like, what color you want it? I was like, blue. He's like, what kind of blue? I was like, I don't know, dude. Just surprised me. Like, I gave him some little details on like what I was looking for. Nothing dark, but light. And then he came up with this blue. It's off of some Nissan car. So it stuck. Everybody loves this color. Now that I have my car this color, I see a lot of race cars this color now. So I don't know if it's because I didn't see it before or they saw something in mine and wanted to paint the car the same color. But now I see a lot of people with the same color. So yeah, so I want to build me another car. So with that car, it'll be a different color. So I don't know what color, but I'm thinking yellow.
What are you thinking new car wise?
Man, so I want to do like a X275 or double frame rail car. So I want this thing super light, got all the stock frame rails out. Like, I want this thing stupid light.
Same color or different?
No, I can't go over the Camaro. A Trans Am, it has to be a Trans Am. Yeah, my dad had a Trans Am back in his day. I was like Trans Am, so I'm just gonna stay with a Trans Am. Like I had my two first cars were Camaros. After that, my other two cars were Trans Am. So after that, I'm gonna say Trans Am. You don't see them often. Yeah. So like you see everybody with a Catfish. So Trans Am's a lot better in my eye. So.
And you want to radio race it, or you still gonna
I want.
race the new car?
So my plan is keep this one for street, and with the other car, radio race it.
Yeah.
Because when I went to LS Fest, Kentucky, when I put the radios on the car and all that, I like it. Like, going fast is badass. Like, the street stuff is cool too, but going out there and running a 4, like, back to back, it's like, damn, this is pretty cool. When I first ran a 4 in this car, I'm like, it's just moving. So we kept on going more and more, and then the fastest I got with it was a 478.
That's the fastest it's been?
Yeah, that's the fastest it's been. There was a lot more in it. Which is...
That was with the 5.3?
That was with the 5.3. Yeah, that 5.3 is gangster, bro. That 5.3 is gangster. Texas Speed. If you're looking for a badass 5.3, call Texas Speed and Performance. They'll hook you up. But yeah, that 5.3 recently blocked, I think it was gangster. And like I said, I beat the crap out of it for a whole year and had no issues. Of course, I do the maintenance and all that, bearings after, so many passes, but that's just maintenance on a car. Yeah, so. Plus, I had to do it because Texas Speed behind it, so they're like, man, you blew up a Texas Speed motor. So I don't want that to look bad for Texas Speed, so I did the maintenance all the time. Every 5 or 6 passes, I'll change the oil in the car. I'll tell methanol, so I don't want to wipe out the bearings or anything like that.
Is it real high maintenance having it on methanol?
No, not really. Not really. Like I said, I'll just do oil change every 5 or 6 passes. I'll take out the fuel filter, clean that out once in a while. That's that.
What injectors are in it?
The 520s. No, I had atomizers in it, but when I switched to Fuel Tech, they gave me a good deal on their 520s.
Oh, okay.
So I now have Fuel Techs in it. So every time I take the motor out to get refreshing up or do anything, I'll send out the injectors, get the injectors clean and all that. So I pretty much stay on everything. Whenever I take the motor out, I pretty much break everything down and go through everything, all the bearings and the wheels, and re-grease everything and stuff like that. So I like staying on top of my stuff. Ain't nothing cheap on this car. So if I break it, I'm a guy with not a lot of money, so it won't be too good. Like, I have sand subs in the front and the rear. And those things are expensive. So thanks to, who was it, Biden? Yeah, Biden? No, Trump. When he was giving out those checks, I got both of those checks and bought the shocks with it. So
I bought a welder with mine.
Oh, really? So it was a benefit, man. So, but yeah, that's what I did with that money. Bought the shocks.
Yeah.
And like, people were like, "Damn, you bought Santos?" I'm like, "They work. They're the best." You know what I mean? Not everybody runs them, or everybody runs them that fast. So, tells you something. So, but no, man.
So how do you manage, racing all the time and regular?
Honestly, I don't stop. If it wasn't for my wife to tell me like, "Hey, that's enough," like, take a break, I'm like, all right. But other than that, dude, I'll just keep on going. Go to each race I go to, or whatever race I could go to. But if it wasn't for my wife to tell me like, that's enough, like, take a week or 2 off, I'll be like, all right. That's when I'll stop. Whenever she tells me to stop, or I'm doing too much, then I'll stop.
It's
so,
like
but
the nitrous thing all over.
Yeah. But that's how it happens, man. It's whenever she tells me like, all right, you've been gone for the past 3 weekends in a row, like, take a break. I'm like, all right, cool. That's all you gotta tell me. Just take a break. I'll be good. But there is times I'll be like, come on, babe. Like, I want to go to the race. Let me go to this race. Yeah. I'll make it up for you. But no. Most of the time when she says, that's it, that's it. So you got to respect it.
Do you have any advice or something you would recommend to somebody that's trying to get themselves into the sport?
If you're trying to get into a small tire sport in this level, make sure you have a lot of money and buy the right parts. That's it. Buy the right parts, because it will bite you in the ass. When I first came out with this car, it was working perfect because I bought all the right parts. I bought the right shocks. I bought the right transmission. Just don't half-ass anything, and you can go far in this racing community for sure. Especially in small tire right now, you gotta make sure your game's on point. Because small tire right now, it's ruthless, bro. Everybody's coming out with those tube chassis cars, and like, I look at my car like, yeah, it's fast, but all those tube chassis cars, man, you can't keep up with those things. It's getting out of hand. So it's getting like X275 radio racing back in the day, when the people who were fast was people who had the money. So right now, no prep racing is getting to that level, I think. So the only thing you got to do is adapt. So now, next year, I'm probably going to look for another car and build me another car slowly. There was another Trans Am I was looking at to buy. I was going to sell this one, but it didn't work out. Like, everybody told me, like, just keep your car now. Like, it works fine. Like, you don't need to sell it. So we'll see how it is. But yeah.
I think it's going to get to
Yeah, I think so. Especially if you're going like front half racing, no prep. Like you got all the big blocks, the Hemis with Pro Chargers and all that, 2 chassis cars. Like that's all money right there. Like the only way you're gonna get fast or beat them is one, if they break, or you guess light, or they red lit or something. But you can't. Yeah, front side, bro. You can't keep up with those guys. They're too fast. They're running 4s, low 4s. On top of that, like if I run a low 4, it's gonna be how on a radio on a prep track, like XRP or something. Like they're doing it on no prep. Like it's wild. Like I know what Adam Plunkin and Brent Self, they told me one time what they ran, and it's fast. Like, bro, there's no way I could do that. Like I could throw 60 pounds of boost on this thing, and it might even touch that. They got their shit on point. They got nice cars. They got a badass tuner behind them. So later on, it's gonna get into the money situation where it's gonna come big blocks, Pro Charge, and that's it. So I don't think there should be different classes because everybody has to adapt. Like when they have the fastest in America, I think that's what it's called, or Mega Cash Days, when Ryan Martin and all those guys went out there. Like all our street guys went out there too, and we're all going for them. But you know, you can't get around big blocks on Pro Chargers or anything like that. Like you might make a badass lick and go 5.0s or something on the street, but those other cars have mile per hour. They're gonna come behind you screaming. Yeah, and that's how it happened on that show. Is like everybody that lost, they lost to somebody who had a big block on a Pro Charge. And you just can't keep up with those guys. So unless you're really lucky, so that's how I look at it. But would I race one of those guys? Hell yeah! Like any day out of the week, on the street, the track. You know, you win, you lose. It is what it is.
You like grudge racing, like one-on-one too, or no?
No, I really don't do a lot of grudge racing because when it comes to grudge racing, you got to bet, you got to put some money down and all that. I'm not a guy with a lot of money, so I'm not gonna go out there and say, you know, let's race for 500. I don't got no 500, so I'm not gonna do that. So mostly street and no prep racing I like to do. Grudge racing is not my style. And plus, there's too much shit talking in grudge racing. Like my blood will boil and I'll start fighting with somebody.
Scrappy?
Yeah, Scrappy will come out. So, but no, grudge racing is a different kind of level on racing. You just can't. You can't go over there and grudge race and have a hot head pretty much. Like you got to be chill about it. How I look at it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I guess that's what it's about. Half the sport is about getting in someone's fucking head.
Yeah, it is. Like I can't. I'm not that kind of guy to go up to someone and start talking shit with them. Like get it in their head. Like I say a couple of things, but I'm not gonna be there to just talk shit constantly. Like that's annoying. But grudge racing, like I said, they do that, and I'm not the guy to do that. Like you're gonna get in my head pretty good, and then I'm gonna get kicked out of the race, or we're gonna fight, or something like that. Then I don't want nothing like that to happen. It's supposed to be a fun sport, so to me, grudge racing is not my style. I can't do it.
All right.
Other than that, do you have any sponsors or anyone that you would like to thank
for
your
sure.
program?
So one is Texas Speed and Performance. Without them, this motor combo, I wouldn't be as fast as I am now without them. Jason Flores from Straight Line Performance, my chassis guy. He's the one that did all the chassis work on the car. Nitrous outlet, I use a nitrous kit to spool up the turbo a lot faster. Winter Circle Transmissions, they're the one that built the Power Glide. Low Dollar Motorsports, they hook up everything on the sensors wise. Let me see who else. VS Racing, I got the 102 on here and that thing's a beast. A lot of people talk mad trash about VS, but they work great. So, and who else? Circle D. And Circle D I got the converter from Circle D. That's pretty much it, man. If I'm forgetting somebody, I'll apologize. There's a lot of guys out there that I forget. So, but yeah, those are my main ones right there.
For having us.
Justin, that's my boy.
To Justin.
All right, guys, thanks for watching this episode with Scrappy. Salalava, and Happy New Year's.